Hello everyone, Kirk here from Kirk's Aquariums. Hope you and fish are doing well. Many of you that follow the channel have gotten to see me slowly build out my first proper fish room. It's been a fun and exciting time, and I've gotten to learn so much about this amazing hobby. Today, I'm going to be continuing to show you the journey with some big and small updates happening inside the fish room, as well as some of the new cool fish and hundreds of baby fish. So sit back, hit that like and subscribe button, and enjoy the show. We've got a problem, guys. We are addicted to buying fish here in this channel. I've just come back from the fish shop, and again, I couldn't help myself. I actually saw these guys in here yesterday when I was in the fish shop dropping off fish, but here I am buying new fish. These are what we call black ruby barbs, and they don't look that spectacular right now, but I'm going to put these guys in a tank of their own. We're going to quarantine them and get them all fattened up, get them on some live baby brine, and then on some nice flake food and all that kind of juicy, tasty stuff. And then in a couple of months' time, we're going to see these fish completely transform when it comes to color. These guys are going to be a beautiful, deep black and red fish. The males in particular, like in most fish species, they're the ones that are going to get the really nice color come through on them. But yeah, really excited. I just can't help myself, can I? Just have to keep buying more fish. I've literally been in the fish room this morning trying to make some space, and I made space for these guys in my quarantine tank. So luckily enough, I do have some space for some small fish, and yeah, we're gonna acclimate these guys now, and then we're gonna put them in a tank of their own and watch them grow. Now, if you're watching and you haven't hit that thumbs up button yet, go ahead and smash that thumbs up button for me. That'll mean so much to me and the channel. It really helps, guys. Every time you guys like the video, it really helps get the video out there so other people can enjoy this fish room as well. So we're going to put these guys in acclimation, and as you can see, even in the bag, I've literally just come home from the fish shop. They're already chirpy and looking full of life. So excited to see these guys in their new tank. So really exciting update in the fish room. These are angelfish eggs, and these aren't just any angelfish eggs. These are my black angelfish eggs. So I only moved the pair up into their bigger tank maybe about a week and a half ago. I've been really trying to condition them, so I've been doing the water changes, really fatten them up on some good high fatty foods. Some frozen bloodworm really helps trigger angelfish to spawn, I've found. So we've taken their first ever batch of eggs off. So I always don't like taking the slate out. The parents really don't appreciate you doing it. But if you can get past the feeling of guilt, you will usually do a better job. Not all the time, but most of the time you'll do a better job raising up the eggs and hatching the eggs yourself. Honestly, I've had angelfish pairs that I've deliberately left the slate in, and it's taken them a good 6 or 7 times to actually successfully raise up the babies. And then even then, the babies get to maybe a couple of weeks old, and unless you're throwing in baby brine shrimp and stuff in there, it's really hard for the parents seeing the fish lose all their babies over weeks rather than just having the whole slate taken out in one go. So the fish usually recover, mentally, I'm assuming, pretty quickly. A couple hours time, they're into the food. They've sort of forgotten about that they had eggs, so it's not usually that big of a deal. But I'll come back to this in maybe about 5 days time, because that's how long usually it takes for these eggs to hatch. So at about 3 days, they start becoming wriggling, and they'll start wriggling themselves off this slate that we've got in here. And then at the 5th day, they'll really have started to break free from the egg and start pretty much almost be free swimming. So I'll come back to then, but basically if you guys are worried what the blue water is, it's some methylene blue. Now I put the methylene blue in here, and a lot of fish breeders will already know this one, but if you're new to breeding and you're wanting to breed angelfish especially, methylene blue I like to use because it helps stop those white fungused eggs that, you're gonna get probably. The least you can get, the better. But the last thing you want is that white fungus egg to contaminate the rest of the nice good eggs there. So all those little white dots, I'll see if I can zoom in for you guys. All those little white dots, those white eggs, they're either not fertilized or they've got fungus on them. So what the methylene blue will do is to try and help stop the fungus from spreading. So that way you've got a much better hatch rate. Now, you can do this without methylene blue. You don't have to use methylene blue, but if you're trying to breed fish for profit, you really want a high hatch rate. You really want not many eggs to go fungused. And if they do go fungus, you definitely don't want that spreading to the good eggs. So it's been a few more days since I showed you guys this tank. And what I've done is I've pulled the slate out of the tank because all these little wiggly things, as you can see, I'll try and get the camera to focus a bit. These are about to hatch baby angels. So they actually wiggle themselves off the slate, and then what's left over on the slate is basically those white fungused eggs I was talking about. So in theory, I pull the slate out once that happens. That way all those fungused eggs come out, and this water stays sort of relatively good. Now, I've already done small water changes to try and get some of the methylene blue out. There's going to be another water change I do today just to make sure I get all the methylene blue out, because this is the stage that you really want to start taking the methylene blue out of the water as they're about to hatch. You don't want the methylene blue still in the water when they're like free swimming and stuff like that. You want them into nice, fresh, clean water at that stage. But yeah, quick little update, because in the next few weeks, you guys will be seeing hundreds of baby little black angelfish swimming around in this tank, and once they get a little bit bigger, we'll move them into a bigger tank. But it's not a huge spawn, but I'm pretty happy with the spawn, because at this stage, this is only the first time the adults have actually laid eggs. So it's a pretty good batch considering it's their first time. A lot of the times, the first time is usually the male doesn't fertilize the eggs properly, or they eat the eggs before you even get to pull them, or it's just a really small hatch rate. But for the first time these two have laid, I'm pretty happy with the results. So we'll move on to the next tank, because there's more update in the fish room. Come down to this tank. Now, we had to move the rest of my brood stock of my red koi angels. We had to move, I had to split them, so I put 4 in this tank and 4 in another bigger tank, because what I saw happening was my ghost knife was actually the one causing the distress. I actually watched him coming out of his cave, and he was basically latching on to the backs of their top fin there, and that was causing massive stress in the angels. So I actually thought it was the angels picking on each other, but once I saw that, see this one here, and I don't like showing this off, obviously, I'm not proud of it, but you know, this is what happens. You think something else is happening, and then you actually catch who the culprit is. And luckily for me, you know, I've got, you know, tanks to fix this with. You know, I've got other tanks that I can put fish in if this kind of aggression starts happening. But now that they're in this tank, I want them to all heal up nicely. We've got our rogue blue angel left in here, the one that we didn't sell. And yeah, these guys are looking nice. They just got to heal up a little bit. So they're in here with some Geophagus, because I want to take the gold dust geos out of the baby rainbow tank and just put them in with some bigger fish. And that way they're not taking the food away from my little baby cories and my baby bristlenose. These bigger chunky cories, these guys can handle their own. They're fat and happy. They actually bred for me in this tank. They laid a huge amount of eggs the other day, but I've got so many baby corridoras in the fish room right now, I just didn't even pull the eggs, because I've got honestly over 100 baby sturbays in the fish room at the moment, so I don't want to crowd myself with more baby corridoras when I haven't even sold any yet. So that is what's going on in this tank. Bit of an exciting update. We've got the gold dust geos in here. We've got the 4 of the red koi angels in here just healing up. And then we've got lots of plants as well. So heaps and heaps of plants in the tanks now. This is what I really want in my fish room, I've decided. I went the bare bottom tank look, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. This is just my personal opinion, my personal preference. I really, really enjoy and missed looking at my fish tanks with substrate and plants in them. So I just really, really enjoy plants, and I miss growing plants, and they don't look too crash hot right now like the other ones that I put in here before. You know, my fault, I wasn't putting fertilizer or anything like that in. I've now got fertilizer going in because I've actually bought this one. This one is a new one, and again, I'm not sponsored or anything like that by Dimax, but I've just been really, really enjoying this brand at the moment. As I said, I've made a video about their fish foods, and I've really been enjoying their fish foods. The fish have as well, but this is their new, basically like plant fertilizer. So I've only just started using it, so I'm not even going to say anything about it just yet, but I've switched from Seachem Flourish to this, and honestly this has got to be better than Seachem Flourish. No offense to Seachem, but it's a really weak plant fertilizer, the Seachem Flourish, and there's just this one just seems to be, you know, decent price. So I thought I'd give it a try, see how my plants go with it, and yeah, maybe do a review on it like in a year's time, because I don't want to say it's good when I've only just started using it. That's not what I want to do at all. But yeah, thought I'd just show you guys at least, because this is a new plant fertilizer from Dimax, and I thought I'd give it a try and see how it goes. So this is what's left over of the baby goiter river rainbows. So if you guys seen the other video, I took some in for the first time to my local fish shop. They look really, really well, but we've got some leftovers here. These are the smaller ones that are growing really, really quick. So even in just a week, these guys have grown like, you know, not quite double their size, but they've definitely grown to the point that I've noticed it. So basically, I'm not going to spend too long on this tank. I just wanted to show you guys that I'm really, really getting into plants again. I'm getting back into plants, I should say. I used to be into plants years and years ago. Just ever since I got into this fish room, I just didn't get into plants like I was. I was just too focused breeding fish. But I've learned that I can grow basic plants and still breed fish and make my fish tanks look really nice so that I actually enjoy looking at them. So basically, that is the update for this tank. I've just got a lot of plants in my fish tank. We've got a beautiful, nice piece of Bolbitis fern here, looking absolutely amazing already. And then yeah, we've just got the same plants as I said in the other video, in the other part, sorry, that in this tank. We've got the blue stricta, we've got the gold rush, we've got some pennywort, we've got some pink ivy, we've got the Bolbitis fern, we've got some Ludwigia, I think that's how you call it. I'm terrible with plants, sorry guys. Plant names, I should say. But yeah, basically that is what's going on in this tank. We've just got a small update of just heaps and heaps of plants. So we'll move on to the other tank. So our new fish are settled in well. They've been in here for a few days now. These are the black ruby barbs that I bought the other day. And as you can see, they're already starting to get some really nice color come through on them. And sorry for the reflection, by the way, but I am going to work on trying to fix the reflection in some way. I think I know how to do it, but we'll work on that. But for now, these are the black ruby barbs. They are looking really cool. And again, they're not even fully like colored up yet. You can see some of the males here starting to get like that nice red across their face and starting to get a bit darker in the body. But as these guys get bigger and grow up, these guys are going to get really, really cool looking colored fish. Cool looking colored fish. Yeah, that's the right word, I think. But black and red, basically, real nice, deep black and red fish. So excited to show you guys these as they continue to grow up, and hopefully we'll get them out of the quarantine eventually, and we'll put them in a bigger tank of their own, and we might get some breeding happening out of them. So, never really kept these fish before, so a bit of a new one for me, but sort of at that point in my hobby where I really start liking to keep fish that I've never kept before, because I'm starting to want to learn a lot more, and you can't just keep learning from the same fish. So if you start experimenting and going out and buying different fish, and if you can afford it and you've got the space, I recommend going out and trying different fish you've never kept before, because you learn a lot about how different fish work, and not all fish are the same, sorry. So it's an exciting time, and I'm always looking to learn inside this hobby. So these are the newest fish to the collection. These are the black ruby barbs. So this is the other batch of angelfish. There is a lot more in this batch than there was in the first batch. Like I said just before, there was only about like 16 or 18 in the first batch of the F1s. This is their second spawn, and as you can see, there is a lot more. So I actually just fed them some brine shrimp, so their bellies are looking nice and yellow and orange. And basically these guys are just growing out really, really well. We're just going to keep them growing up until they start sort of forming into that angelfish sort of shape, because they're only about a week old at the moment, these guys. So they've still got maybe a next week, they'll probably start forming into that like angelfish looking body. And at that stage, I'll start basically moving them out of this tank, and moving them into a bigger tank. That will really speed up the progress of the growth, and we'll have hundreds of little baby red koi angels as well as hundreds of black angels. So there is a lot of baby fish in the fish room at the moment. There is hundreds of baby fish growing up inside this fish room. So it is a very, very exciting time, but just thought I'd show you guys these. So you guys have seen this one before. These are the first ever batch of the red koi angels of my F1s. So it was a really small batch. I think I've only got about maybe like 16 to 20 baby angels in that batch. So it wasn't a huge success, but nonetheless, happy with that, because this is the first time my F1s in my red koi angels have spawned. And then we've also got some little fat, chunky, longfin albino kori babies. They are growing up really, really quickly. So we've got about 18 to 20 of them in here as well. And at some point this week, I'm going to move all these fish out of here, put them into a bigger tank, and just playing Tetris with juggling fish around in different tanks. So it's a bit like, oh, can I move a fish into this tank? I've got space. If I move one into there, can I move them into here? So kind of juggling fish around in the fish room at the moment, making space and letting all this stuff grow up into bigger tanks. But that is the excitement and the fun of having a fish room and breeding fish. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. If you guys liked this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. If you haven't subscribed already, go and hit that subscribe button. And if you want to watch more of my videos, go and click on some of the videos that are popped up on the screen right here. And thanks for watching.